Hello, my name is Michael Garrick, and this is Popping Culture Movie Reviews. My guest today is comedian Josh Bakes, very funny comedian. If he's in your city, please go check him out. He's also the host of, please tell him the name of your podcast, buddy.
Low Country, Low Lives.
Thank you so much. Uh, Also, one of the manager of Comedy at the Sparrow, a great comedy club in Charleston, South Carolina. Again, guys, Josh Bates is hilarious. If he's in your city, please go see him. Um, the movie that we'll be reviewing is Willow. This will be 100% spoiler review. But before we spoil the movie, Josh, do you believe they should watch it?
Yeah, I mean, I get mad when I hear about people that have never seen Willow. Like that's one of those that I'm like, whoa, time out, time out. You haven't seen Willow? And they're like, no, I haven't even heard of it. And that's when I'm like, no, you got to go out right now, stop what you're doing, and go watch Willow. Like I don't even like if someone's like, oh, I haven't seen Indiana Jones, that bothers me, but it doesn't bother me as much when they haven't seen Willow.
As well, I was 100% one of those people that had never seen it, but I thank you so much. Guys, I agree. You should definitely watch it. Everything past this point is 100% spoilers. Uh, Josh, this movie, bro, this is a gem that I knew nothing
So you
about.
never heard of it?
Never heard about it, but so many people should see it. This movie has influenced so many movies. Like this, Ron Howard directed this movie, the guy from Happy
Yeah,
Days. And just
yeah.
you it Val Kilmer, it's some people in this movie that you're just like, why does this not pop up on their IDBM, whatever it is? Why doesn't that pop
Uh,
up like on their, as a big thing they did? Because this is a good film. I was very surprised.
yeah, yeah. No, Willow was dope. It was written by George Lucas, and he had
Yes.
the idea for a while. And so after the movie was made, it made a good amount of money. It didn't make as much money as they thought it was going to, and so it didn't do well in the box office. It didn't do that great. The marketing, the toys didn't do very well, and yeah, that's why it kind of just fell to the wayside. And people in like the generations after me, I'm 40, so I think people that are born like 10, 5, 10 years before me, they don't remember it. It wasn't one of those movies they had to watch.
Yeah. I, okay. For people that don't know, can you tell them how popular Val Kilmer was at this time?
Oh, I mean, Val Kilmer was the gangster. I mean, he was the Iceman. You know, uh, he was huge. He was huge in Top Gun. Very big movie. I mean, he was it. He was a heartthrob, man. I mean, I would say he was on the trajectory at the time to be as big as like a Tom Cruise. He ended up not being, but he was up there. He was
Yes.
up there.
Yes. The opening shot of this film, how well do you think it sets the tone?
So when you talk about Willow, just the now, are you talking about just the scenery in the movie? Or are you talking about like the opening shots of the movie as far as like the opening scene?
The opening scene.
I mean, I think this movie to me was designed to watch in the eyes of a child. And so when you're a little kid and you're watching this and you're seeing that this like evil queen lady is worried about like the chosen one, and so she's gonna go and kill every child. It was very like Moses 10 commandments type of thing where like all these kids were being slaughtered and then they saved this one baby, which let's stop right here. That baby is goddamn adorable. It's like a little angel cherub. It was played by twins, but beautiful kids. But yeah, it was scary, man. And those little those little devil dogs, they were so scary when I was a kid. I mean, they look like possums on steroids. They were out chasing, people trying to search for the baby, and then of course they let the baby down the river like baby Moses. But that was the opening scene, and the world building in that movie. It felt like a real place. It felt like a real world. like it really existed, in the
Yeah.
fantasy world. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The stop motion, I thought that was done really well.
It was. I mean, for its time, there were two technologies in the movie: the stop motion with the two-headed dragon thing, or three-headed dragon. Watching it now it's a little squeamish to watch. I mean, it doesn't look as good as it did back in 1988. But the one of the first technologies of the morphing, if you remember where the Willow was the witch was being morphed from like an ostrich to an elephant to a rhinoceros to a mouse. That technology was brand new by George Lucas, by Industrial Light and Magic, and that movie was the first movie they used that technology with. That and there was a Michael Jackson video that came out around the same time that they used it on.
Yeah.
Little
Yes.
nugget of knowledge there.
Thanks, man. But when it came to the budget, it looked like they did what they could with the budget, and they did what they could do with the technology. Because I thought some of the scenes were amazing, and some of the scenes looked like it was shot. Have you seen the movie The Black Knight with Martin Lawrence?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so someone was like, "Oh, it's the same place." So
Yeah, I mean, so that movie, that I think they made that movie for around $100 million. So there was some gorgeous stuff. Like I think it was shot in, I want to say New Zealand, but I'll have to look.
Okay.
I mean, some of the scenes are gorgeous and beautiful, and then some of them were a little questionable. But I mean, it was, some of the area was just gorgeous area. But yeah, I think it cost 100 million to make, and then it ended up making 137 million. So it made $40 million, which, 1988 money, it did okay.
Yes. The actor that played Warwick, I'm sorry, the actor played Willow, Warwick Davis. I've seen him in so many different things, but this was my first time seeing him like as a lead role. I thought he knocked it out the park.
Yeah, I mean, Warwick Davis. So of course, he was Wicket in Star Wars as a kid. He was he was an Ewok, and then after Willow, he was Leprechaun in the Hood, one of the worst movies ever made. It's so good. Yes. Leprechaun in Space, and then he was in all those Harry Potter movies too.
Yep.
And then he was also in all the new Star Wars. They put him in all the Star Wars movies. But yeah, that was like the only movie he was ever like a lead in, and he did good. I mean, he wasn't like the best actor. I mean, some of it's a little kind of, it's okay, but there's so many little people in that movie. There were so many, and they were all dope.
Yes, and I mean, and they and like I said, I thought their acting was on point. Like they, it wasn't. They never like exploited them either. It was just like, this is a part of the movie. That those are the characters, and in my opinion, I thought they did well.
Yeah,
you could definitely see the influence this had on The Hobbit and other Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, for sure.
When it came to
I could totally see that.
When it came to the pacing, was there any scenes that you would have cut out of the film, or do you feel like everything flowed good?
I think it was a good flow. I think that movie was right under, I think it was like an hour and 40 minutes, and it didn't feel, there's nothing that's out of place. I felt it went pretty quick. No, I would have took, what about you? Because you've probably seen it more recent than I have.
Like
was there anything that was
3 hours ago? Oh no, I thought it flowed perfectly. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
I really enjoyed the music, like the themes and the way that every scene had a good soundtrack behind it. I thought Ron Howard did a great job with that.
Yeah, the music was really good. It was James Horner that did the music, which he's done a lot of movies. But yeah, super mystical and magical, and the music was amazing. I loved it. It was very John Williams sounding, but it wasn't. I thought it was for a long time, but James Horner he's a gangster. He doesn't get a lot of appreciation in movies. He's done a bunch of good stuff. I mean, he did like Braveheart, Titanic, Apollo 13. I mean, he's done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, some big names right there.
Nice, oh yeah, yeah.
Nice. Now we can put Willow. Make sure we say Willow first. And
Yeah, that the music is amazing. Like think like you just watched it, like you said, 3 hours ago. When it comes to like music, just fantasy sounding music, would you put it in your like top 10 right now as far as
yes, very
like
much.
sound? It's amazing. It's
Yes.
amazing.
Um, to bounce back to Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit just a little bit. Um, let's say that they wanted to remake this film. Do you think it would feel too much like the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit, or do you think they could remake it and still make it feel like it this film feels right now?
I would be worried. Okay, so I'm about to tell you something that is going to make you very excited. So, about 4 months ago, they announced that Disney Plus is making the sequel to Willow. It's
Oh
going to be a
man.
TV show. Yeah, and
Okay.
Warwick Davis is going to be in it. So, with that being said, I'm a little nervous how it's going to be. Like, if it's going to be just super crappy, like, because now when you look at it, you do think Lord of the Rings, you think of hobbits and whatnot. But I don't know. I hope it's going to be good. Ron Howard's not doing anything with it, which I'm a little sad about. But I mean, it's got Warwick Davis in it. It's got a couple other actors. I don't know who they are, but 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 Willow's in it. That's all that matters.
Nice,
Willow's
nice,
dope.
nice. Do you think they're gonna make it more serious?
I hope not. I hope they keep it a little playful. Like, I mean, the brownies. We didn't even talk about the brownies yet. They
No.
were so good in that movie.
Yes.
They were the comic relief in that movie. You know, they were like the R2D2 and C3PO. Um, they were so funny. And yeah, I hope they have some. I hope they still have some of that. Like, I think as long as a 10-year-old thinks it's cool, then they did their job right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, dialogue wise, speaking on the age, do you think that the dialogue is what really captured it for for the audience in general?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was the visuals at the same time. I think the idea and the story that the so you had the Dakinis, which were human people. You had the normal people, and then you had Willow's people, and there was this idea of like the little man, literally the little man, could have an impact on the world. Like he didn't, like he was a nobody, and he wanted to be somebody, and he was kind of caught up in this whole thing, this whole adventure. And because he was a good dude, like it's an old age story, and I think that's really what did it, because some of the lines were pretty bad. Like there's a couple of lines in that movie that were pretty cheesy, um, but at the same time, like there was just something very charismatic about it. And then like Val Kilmer played Mad Mardigan in the movie, and he was it was like the Han Solo character. He was like the
Yes.
anti-hero. He was like a bad guy, but a good guy. He was charming. And he ended up being a good dude, but you never knew if he was going to end up being shady. And, he does the turn. So that was fun. Like it's just the characters in the world, I think is what was the most interesting part of it.
Nice, nice. Definitely a character film. I agree. How did you feel
Yeah.
about the action?
I mean, so besides, like, I thought the ending was kind of trash. Like when they're fighting the witch lady and the
Yes.
stuff comes alive, like the little magic pot, and they're all jumping around, the pots are, and they're fighting. That was kind of whack. But like the sword fighting was pretty good. There was the scene where they're on the back of the cart, and they're, Mad Mardigan's getting in a fight with all the people. That was pretty dope. Um, the sled was pretty garbage. There is one garbage scene in this movie, and since you just saw it, you'll remember this. It's where they're going down on the sled, and it's the shield, right? But then there's a couple scenes you
Mm,
could tell it's a sled.
yeah.
Like it's filmed kind of bad where you can tell, and you can also tell they're stunt doubles. But then they become that huge ball of snow, and it's tumbling down and it hits the house. And I'm like, that's real cheesy. Like that's real cartoonish for them to become that big ball of snow that was coming down the hill. That was pretty trashy. But
I,
the
I
movie's so
laughed.
good.
I laughed out loud. I didn't care. I laughed so hard.
So good. The okay. What was your favorite part of the movie? Like what scene do you like the most?
after just watching it, man. I
Like the
guess
brownies, like the whole love potion. I think that's my favorite part.
yeah, that was good. That was good. Um,
When the brownie was in love with the cat,
I think
that was
everything stopped.
beautiful.
I think everything stop motion kind of really got me because I was just like, I was just amazed. Oh, this is 1988, and it's not great, but it's just like, okay, this has been around for a long time. Like,
Yeah,
compared to the first time I ever saw stop motion was like Nickelodeon commercials to seeing this, it was like it's okay.
yeah, yeah. It's a fun movie, man. It's fun. It's one of those movies I'm so surprised that people have never heard of it, or they just never saw it. But I've never met anyone that was like, yeah, I watched Willow, it was whack. I've
No,
never
nobody.
met anyone that said that.
Those are lonely people. Um,
Yeah.
uh, was this? I don't know if you know, but was this Ron Howard's first film?
That's a good question. No, Ron Howard worked on some smaller movies at the time. I mean, he was still young. He wasn't very old. I mean, he was like in his 30s when he made that movie.
Okay,
Um, but I don't think it is. Now
okay.
I might have to look it up. But no, I
Oh,
don't think it was his first movie.
cool, cool. So 1 through 10, what would you give this movie?
All right, so I got like two different type of movie rankings. Like as far as just quality production of what it was, like if I'm ranking movies like The Godfather and things like that, I would probably give the movie probably a 6 or a 7. But if I give like including nostalgia, I would give it a 10 just because I literally can watch any movie I can watch over and over again, or if it's on TV, I'm going to stop and watch it. That's a 10, man. Like there's nothing wrong with the movie. Um, and because it has a memory, when I was a little kid, I was like pretending I was Willow or Mad Mardigan running around, with sticks and shit. So I have a lot of fond memories, man. And like the video game, the arcade game, not the Nintendo game. The Nintendo game was whack.
Oh,
Like
they
I'm
really
talking,
believed in this movie. Okay.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So there was a Nintendo game. Like when you get off here, YouTube the Willow Nintendo game, it was trash. It was trying to be like Zelda, and it was just
Oh,
horrible.
yeah.
But the arcade game was fire. Like it was the best game on the planet. Like when I was a little kid, I asked Santa Claus to buy me that arcade machine, and I never got it. And I was real pissed off because somehow I thought Santa was going to bring me like a $5,000 game machine when we were poor as fuck. But the game was dope. The game was dope. Like I need to find it on like a bootleg Steam version of it, but it was dope. It was a really dope game.
Nice.
And the toys were trash too. The toys were trash, but they had them.
Nice, nice. I hope you find it, man. I really hope you find it on Steam, and I'll definitely check it out on YouTube. And I get it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Nostalgia is a powerful thing, by the way. Like, like being realistic, good burgers are 5, but if you ask me, I'm like it's a 11. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like there's not many movies nostalgia wise that I give a 10. Like, like Good Burger, for example. Like, what other movies am I trying to think that were 10s? There's not many when it comes to nostalgia. Like The Goonies is up there, where I could just watch it and it's just there. But there's
yeah,
not many of them.
yeah. The
So
only thing I can
Willow
think
is one.
of is oh, I'm sorry, me cut you off. I apologize.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah, the only film I can think of nostalgia wise and still good is Young Frankenstein. Like I think that's just a good film.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Uh, I agree with you. I would give this film a 7. Do you believe that this movie has become a part of pop culture?
It has in small circles. Like it has a cult following. So when it comes to cult following, yes, it absolutely does. I mean, they're making a Disney Plus movie. People are excited about it. Um, but as far as like, did it reach all of America? Probably not. But there is a huge, huge cult following of this movie. I mean, they made like a couple of books came out about it. Um, if you say Mad Mardigan, you make a reference to him, people will know what you're talking about and give you some love. Ron Howard, real quick though, he made what made him big as a director, where he got taken serious, was the two movies he directed was Splash and Cocoon. So
Hmm.
he had back-to-back hits before Willow. Yeah.
Okay, I would trust him with a $100 million budget too. Like that is
Yeah. That's he made like 3 made for TV movies, and then he came out the gates with Splash and Cocoon, which that's pretty amazing.
hey, he has some
Everything
happy
else was a
days.
TV movie. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Is there anything else you would like to say about the movie?
If you haven't seen it, go do yourself a favor and see it. And if you have kids, I would say anywhere from the ages of like, I don't know, like 8 to 14, 15. Like even my son, my son's 15 and he loves that movie. Like it's just a movie that should be enjoyed by children, because it's like one of those movies where it's not a kids movie, it's not a kiddie movie, but it's like an adult movie for kids. Like it's a little serious. It's an adventure, man, and kids don't get enough good movies like that. So go check it out. And if you did check it out, you haven't seen it in a long time, you got kids, make sure they go see Willow. It's the shit.
Nice, and I totally agree.